All right. Uh, Hold on. I gotta crop the screen here. Must crop screen. Oh shit! I forgot to change my internet, people. Damn it. Damn it. We're gonna have to just live with it and hope it doesn't drop. If it does, I'll try and flip the internet midstream. Okay, that's my promise to you. Let me get this up and live. We're going to be a little delayed here on a police chase that is going on as we have a two-wheel Dodge Charger on the run here in Los Angeles. What's up, Noti Gang? Welcome back. Welcome in. No audio here. Why is there no audio? There's definitely no audio. You can hear me, though. It might get really loud. All right. Tweets are out. Okay. That's the good news. Bad news is we still don't have. I don't know if we're going to get audio here. Oh, here we go. And this is a very congested area. Going to hook a right. All right. So real quick, people, just because I was finishing up my radio show. I'm a little delayed by a couple of minutes, but this chase is still live. We're a little behind it, but we are on a delay. It is a two-wheel Dodge Charger on the run. Okay, you guys know I can't start doing these chases until I'm done with my show, so we are going to be just a tad delayed, but still going on as we speak.
And look at how fast, Mark, right there on Orangeburg.
And also with the internet issue, since I'm connected to the wrong internet, I am going. If we do have internet connection, if it starts pixelating, I'm going to try and switch internets midstream, and I don't know what's going to happen. I hope it doesn't shut the stream down, but I will attempt to do that, so we'll see how it goes. On that note, boogity! Let's go chase. Wednesday, May 21st, 1:04 p.m. Pacific time, off the 210 freeway.
Now on city streets, he's somewhat made a bit of a U-turn right through that intersection. Unclear if that was
Fact, oh my God. That intersection was a lot closer than I anticipated. High rates of speed on this two-wheel Dodge Charger.
And now going north, this is Orange Grove. The Rose Bowl would be to your left, and this kind of wraps around Orange Grove.
My mic is a little quiet, isn't it? How about now? Why does it do that?
Come up on Fair Oaks in just a bit. A lot of traffic, a lot of intersections.
Is this better?
I'm not quite sure which one I'd rather this suspect be on, the freeway or surface.
I don't know why those settings changed. Did you guys hear what I said before? Was it just quiet? Were you able to hear what I said? It was just too... Because I'll repeat myself if I need to. Okay, yes. Once again, if you can hear me now, we are watching a chase. It is live, but we are delayed by a couple of minutes because I can't stream a police chase while I'm in the middle of doing my job. So we are a couple minutes behind, but I'm showing the chase in its entirety. No spoilers, as you can see, please. You will be auto-snap banned regardless of your stature and your status. I have one strike policy. And we continue on. Two-wheel Dodge Charger on the run here. Coming off the 210. Let's get it. ABC 7 on the call.
Is thinking, trying to determine when they are pursuing a suspect. Tell us a little bit about when you're pursuing a motorcycle suspect.
You know, we don't have a lot of motorcycle pursuits. The thing about those type of pursuits...
Do I need to do the boogity?
Inherently dangerous.
How's that one? Is that better with the volume right? Gotta let that go. Gotta get the demons out.
And for law enforcement officers trying to pursue...
Oh, is it the same guy? Could it potentially be the same?
No doubt. And
That was taking us downtown. It doesn't look like it. This is a much different motorcycle. Those of you that missed us the other night, we had a super late night pursuit that went until midnight, West Coast time. The guy kept going downtown, losing the helicopters, just back and forth, back and forth. We gave up on it. I'm sure the guy got away.
They obviously know how
ScarJo was great.
drive a motorcycle.
Great
because
movie.
they're not the
9.1 out of
easiest
10.
things to maneuver as
Vicky
well.
Cristina Barcelona.
No, not at all. This rider and suspect has some skills about driving the motorcycle, weaving in and out of traffic, going at the high rates of speed. That will make the assumption he is going at What law enforcement's going to do is just go back into a tracking mode, hopefully have a helicopter that can monitor and get the license plate of the motorcycle and wait for the terminus, the end of this chase, when this guy goes home.
Yeah, and it's not as though, Mark, you can sort of talk to the person. You know, many times law enforcement, they'll be able to contact the person if they
Don't
have
think
an
Stu's
idea
on the
who that
call here.
suspect
It's
is.
just
They'll be able to contact
the good news
person
about
and talk to them
ABC
and
7 is
negotiate
that
with
they
them
have
to try
multiple
to pull
choppers
over
and they can
and
handle
give up.
both
But
sides of the
Bruce,
airspace.
what
That's the
kind of
difference
tools
between
do law
ABC and
enforcement have to
despite
try
the
to
Elianas, it's
negotiate
too
with
early.
this pursuit
Eliana doesn't
suspect?
come until rush hour.
Well, the one thing you lose is pit maneuvers.
But ABC can
Those
send,
things
if
are
he
now
starts
on
going towards
display
the
because
TFR
the
around
motorcyclist
LAX,
is
they
just
can go
driving
north
such
and
a high
south of
rate
it and the other
speed.
channels can't.
So all you really can do is just kind of sit back and monitor. Hopefully
We are
the
live.
person slows
Stop asking
down
that in the
and is
chat.
not
It's going to
driving
piss
like
me
we've
off.
seen
We are
from
live, but we are
72,
just a couple minutes delayed.
wrong side of the road, center medium, and weaving in and out of traffic.
And Bruce, say one thing to point out here.
Look at the
is
damn
that,
title.
it's
You
hard
don't need to
tell,
ask the
but
question
he's not
every
coming
time.
to a stop at any intersection, so I got to assume that he's been blowing.
Stu
through
might
some
be
green
live,
lights.
but
This looks like
sorry,
this could be
Stu.
another,
We can't trust
and he
Stu
may make a right there
to
on
stay on top of
Allen.
this chase.
Very familiar with this area. This is going to come down.
If he's the only one in the air, we'll
past
go with
Las
it.
Lunas and then Villa Street and right back towards the 210 freeway here on the east side of Pasadena. But he seems to be just blowing through every single intersection that he comes to right here. And this is, I think, going to be Villa Street.
Yeah, East Villa Street, Mark. And again,
Did I
I'm
slam
sort of
5
wondering,
White
Bruce,
Claws
you can
that
answer the
night?
question.
Yeah,
What
pretty
would
close.
be a better location for this pursuit suspect? City streets or the freeway? We know the 210 freeway, that's a pretty wide open freeway. That's one of those freeways that it rarely gets jammed up.
You know, the freeway is
It's okay,
obviously
Josh.
easier
Spoilers
if you
are,
don't have
that's
the
why it says true or
intersections,
false.
the blind,
People just make up spoilers to try and
driveways,
ruin the
people, they
stream,
pull
even if
out
it's live.
to kind of see what's in front of you and where you're going. Obviously, the speeds are a little higher on the freeway, but on surface streets, it's just so inherently dangerous. And as
Man,
a
I do. I get
can
quite drunk
guarantee
off
that
of
they
like
canceled the
three
pursuit. And now
three
they're
White
just
Claws.
saying,
I can
you know
drink
what,
tequila
we're gonna
from
monitor via helicopter,
sunset to
we'll put it out
sunrise
as much as we can, but I don't
and
want
be
you to
unaffected.
fall.
But White Claws, man, they
this
just
is
get me
really
drunk.
concerning, knowing that it's on those surface streets. This is going to be coming up to Altadena Drive. This is going to be his next intersection here on Villa Street. He just passed a fire station on his right, and then this is the corner of Altadena Drive. This would take him right back to
Tequila
the 210
of choice.
freeway.
Tequila
To
of
see if he
choice
stays on surface
is
streets or gets right
Nosotros
back on.
Reposado. They sell the
Yeah,
Nosotros on the
Again,
On
well,
surface street, so this is going to take him
On the
a
west
little bit further
side.
south of the freeway now.
Yeah,
It's a
actually, like
West
I was
Side
saying
brand
before,
here in
that
Los
does
Angeles.
seem like the 210 usually is
Best
pretty
stuff.
clear, but
So
this
good.
has
Oh my
some
God,
traffic
zero
right now.
hangover.
Again, we're seeing this driver on North Altadena Drive. Bruce, if the watch commander decides
Brush
that
your
this
teeth
pursuit
with that
is just
stuff.
too dangerous to continue and they call off the pursuit, why does it seem like this motorcyclist is still driving at erratic speeds and fashion?
Nosotros Reposado. You will not go wrong, and it's pretty affordable too. The reason why it's so cheap right now is because it's a newer
They
brand.
just feel that they're trying to get away from what at that time? It was something in their mind that said, "Hey, I'm being
If you go
chased,"
to
but
if
you're
you go to
not
the
being
places,
chased
the ownership
anymore.
group that has
So
like
it's just
Elefante
the
and
freedom
Bell's Beach
and wanting
House
of
and
freedom,
all of
I guess.
those bougie West Side
And again,
restaurants,
we
they're in
see
those.
we see this suspect just kind of winding through
The guy who
this
started it
area,
plays
but
in,
now I'm gonna
my
see
poker
that
game that
when
my
you
home
see
game.
big, large intersections, you sort
Very
of hold your
good.
breath a little bit. But again, this area,
Nosotros.
you have
Did I say
a
it
lot
wrong,
of freedom on these roads.
Ranger?
There's not a lot of congestion right now.
And now back eastbound on Colorado. So essentially from when we first came on air, he's kind of made a big loop. If he stays in this direction, he would go right back. Roughly,
Congrats on my first
3 or 4
treasure
miles
chain.
away,
What's a
but back
treasure
to where
chain?
He was essentially when we came on air here
Train.
with this breaking coverage. Again, we are dipping in here to ABC.
Yeah, thank you to everyone
Live
who's
with
resubscribing
this
to the
motorcycle
channel.
pursuit.
We're continuing on a
Started
3-star
in
chase here with a
East Recon
two-wheel
to it.
Dodge
It was
Charger.
in like the La Crescenta area, and now right in the heart of Pasadena. And calling, if he continues
Dark
straight
Side
here,
Doge.
it's going to go right
Jay
to Old Town
Cormac,
Pasadena.
15 months, 7
Lots of
months and
shoppers
counting.
here
You guys
mentioning
keep
that looks pretty
subbing, we
quiet right
keep
now.
streaming.
Anytime that you go
You want to
into Old Town
avoid the
Pasadena,
inevitable
you've got
commercials?
more
Connect your
cars,
Amazon
more
Prime
people
account.
walking
Be
around.
much
They have those
appreciated.
intersections that are like the 4-way cross.
Right.
So that is super concerning. Woodford
Ranger,
Club's
you know the
lunchtime
way
As well.
Yeah,
We know that,
I can
you know,
understand
some
everything
cities,
that's said on
do a
Telemundo,
great
I just
job
can't
with
repeat
lunches,
it.
and Pasadena
I'm
is
out
one
of
of those cities,
practice.
and it gets very busy over the
And I
lunchtime
sound
hour.
like-
And again, people are not necessarily knowing
sound like an
that
American
there is a
Mexican,
pursuit
exactly
taking
what
place,
I am.
because you do not
But I
see
can't
any
understand it.
law enforcement walking.
I can subjugate verbs. I can
you
put-
see
put
somebody
together
walking in front,
conversations.
but
I just
again,
sound like,
you see this
an
person now,
American.
they're stopping, so it almost looks like they're now
Well, my
trying to
Spanish gets
follow
better
the
when I'm
rules of the
drunker.
road. Bruce,
Crazy. Like when I was in
again,
Colombia,
this person is
they don't
still
speak a
taking
lick of
some
English
risks.
down there. Get a couple
Oh, yeah,
tequilas in me, and I
definitely
was
they are.
fucking
You know,
Telemundo
and-
out there. I was
and a
doing
question people
brilliantly. I
might
could
ask
carry
is,
conversations.
Well, why
and-
not have some motorcycle
That was
officers
almost a T-bone.
chase him, that they can weave in and out of traffic? Well, having a motor officer in pursuit is just so inherently dangerous for that motorcycle officer.
Oh, this
that
is
most times they're not
strange
even allowed to be in the
movements
pursuit.
with the
Yeah, I
bike.
would-
It's a little
it seems like I
swerving
would agree
means
with you,
we're
Mark.
Right here,
maybe
just passing
lost.
Pasadena City College on the lower
Yeah,
side,
not in
you're
an area
swinging.
that we're familiar
So he's
with.
passing a lot of landmarks
Kinda just
that
driving
people are gonna
around.
be familiar with here in Pasadena. Of course, you say Colorado Boulevard, there's nothing more central than that.
Yeah, I am not
And from
Eliana
what we've
Moreno.
seen, he's willing to do anything to get away. That being
That she
said,
can go back and forth
again,
between
sorry, this is
NBC4 and
reiterating, now in
Telemundo like that
tracking
is
mode, only the chopper from
why she's the
Pasadena
goat.
police now tracking this motorcycle. Now that being said, that means there's not
I
gonna
like
be
that
an
the chat's
officer
been
right
having
behind
Stu
this guy,
Mundell
but they're
versus
gonna know where
Eliana
he is.
conversations
They're
like
still
Jordan
following
versus
him.
LeBron.
They want to get him.
Like
but
Stu
they don't
is the
wanna
Jordan, he's the
escalate
old guard.
situation. Bruce, is that a fair
It was a
assessment?
generational thing.
You
If
know,
you were
they
alive for
don't
Stu
know
in his
those lights and
prime,
sirens
he had a
right
much
behind
he had a
the
much
guy to
higher
logically
peak.
him.
Eliana has the
Mark, that
longevity
is
talk, right?
100% true.
Has the
You think that-
longevity
because
advantage.
the more you put pressure on this driver,
But Stu in the
more you see
mid-90s
what he's
was
doing
Jordan,
not
multiple
being
three-peats.
chased. If he now were to see multiple units behind him with lights and sirens, that may pressure him into even doing more.
One of the benefits of these
unsafe
two-wheel
maneuvers.
Dodge Chargers is we
Yeah, and
can
again,
navigate
I'm watching
these
this, motorcycle
these
rider
vehicles
and, you know, going right
in the
between
middle
cars
of, yep, we
and
go
just
through
kind of
red lights
going
like
through
it's
the
nothing. We
intersections. I'm
got
not
this
quite
little
sure
crotch
if that was a
rocket.
red light or
Be
if
on
it
our
was,
way.
a
I wouldn't say
green
these
one,
are
but
incredibly
again, I'm
dangerous
thinking that,
speeds like
you
we
know,
saw
as
the
we-
other
as
night,
many of
but
us know this
anytime there's a
area,
two-wheel
I'm
Dodge
thinking this
Charger,
motorcycle
it could
rider
be a
does not
very,
necessarily
very
know this
graphic
area because they're
incident.
just driving in such an unusual manner. It looks like, are they about to get onto a freeway, or is this Mark? Is this?
That
It looks
was
like the freeway
on-ramp.
on-ramp to the 210.
Yeah, back on the 210 freeway. He got on there at Maple Street, and he's back on the freeway. And again, Bruce, weigh those options for us when it comes to a pursuit, especially with a motorcycle. Would you prefer it being on a freeway versus city streets, surface streets?
You know, personally, as a watch commander, I would feel more comfortable in a pursuit on the freeway because it's basically one direction,
Sure.
multiple lanes, but traffic is pretty stagnant, meaning you're not going to have vehicles turning in
Someone in
front
the
of
chat
you
said I'm
or trying to
building
merge.
a Sean
So in
Connery
that
look
case,
with the
a
beard.
freeway would work.
It always jams up right
Thank you.
here at Lake Avenue. There's the junction where the 210 continues onto the 210, but it's it's more like an interchange because it goes up north towards La Cañada and La Crescenta. So there's always a jam up right here. So the traffic's slowing down a bit, especially on the 2 to 3 right lanes.
It's about time
He's
one of
staying
these
in
people
those
being
lanes
chased
right
ran
now.
into
Makes
traffic.
you wonder, is
They
he gonna
always
go
have
back
open
onto,
freeways and they're selling this
210 further,
product that LA
westbound,
is
which would take
wide
you up to
open.
La Cañada, just passing Lake Avenue
These
right
freeways
there.
don't have any
If he
traffic
stays
on
to
them,
the
I promise
left
you,
of
that
this
is not the
coming
case.
interchange, it would then transfer on to the 134 westbound, come right back into
Yeah, that other
Eagle
Dodge
Rock and
Charger
from
the other night was
Right,
flying,
and
the
then,
two-wheel one.
again, Bruce, I don't know how.
How's the internet
I'm-
been so
I'm
far?
sure,
I'm connected to the wrong one.
you
Has it
probably
been
have a better
okay?
understanding.
For
I
the
know
most
law
part, it looks like
enforcement,
it's been
they
okay.
certainly can talk through their earpieces and helmets, but I don't, are a lot of helmets, just normal civilian helmets? Because this person does have a helmet, so if they did steal this
Smooth,
motorcycle.
okay, we'll stick
maybe
with it
there's-
then.
The helmet was left on it with the keys. I mean, a lot of people, it's just a crime of opportunity, but this suspect certainly knows how to shift the gears. You can watch him. It's somewhat tricky to know how to ride a motorcycle if you haven't never driven one. It's not quite so easy where you just start up the motorcycle. It's not like a moped, right, Bruce?
No, that's correct, Colleen. I mean, when you steal a car, it's pretty easy. Put on the gas, put on the brake, turn the steering wheel, drive. But a motorcycle is a lot more difficult to do. What's unique about this motorcycle is there's an additional helmet on the bike, which means we believe there's probably a little more than just a stolen motorcycle in this case.
So the want here is
Again,
possibly
we're
stolen
trying to
bike,
echo all
allegedly,
those
high rates of
details.
speed.
As you know, whenever there's a pursuit happening and we're trying to call the law enforcement jurisdiction who's behind it, they're so busy, and then we don't get a lot of updates, but we certainly will update the details as soon as we find out, because it's sort of like a little bit of a drip, like a faucet, there's a drip information, and again, as we find out more, we certainly share it with you.
Getting word here that CHP is now joining the chase here shortly is the latest update that we have. And that they are
Some
sending their
CHP
chopper
on the 134
and ground
eastbound, headed
units. So
away from the
initially
city. So
had
we were
Pasadena
210,
PD. Their chopper
134.
involved
I don't
in this
know. It's
pursuit
it's
into
going
traffic
between
mode.
east and west. The
Now,
GPS always
California
flip flops
Highway
on us.
Patrol,
It's
according to our
very
desk,
frustrating.
going to be getting involved in this pursuit and maybe re-engaging Bruce with ground units, and that's something that we do see from time to time. It passes jurisdictions. You have different agencies joining in. Is that the case?
How crazy is this New Orleans story, by the way? The jailbreak. Why would those people go to Bourbon Street after they escape prison? How funny! Also, how funny was their grammar, taunting the police? Too easy, and they spelled "too" wrong.
Probably behind this guy very, very shortly.
I'm also wondering, Bruce, you know, the CHP just
No,
launched
I
a
think they've
whole,
caught 5.
new effort to reduce
Or maybe there's 5
reckless
left.
driving
One of the
on
2.
our freeways, and I've been seeing
Too
that
easy.
these
T-O
new Dodge
easy.
Durangos, they're very quick with drift. They're not doing one of their Dodges, they're doing one of their true black and white. So
That's
now the
Glendale right
suspect
there. That
knows.
was Glendale police. That was
Ooh,
pursued.
Glendale
Which
PD.
does make sense because when we came on air,
Right.
La Crescenta is part of Glendale, and so that may have been one of the initial officers. Sorry to jump in there.
Colleen, to your point, there's a lot of controversy about those Durangos. People say, well, it's entrapment. No, the purpose of those vehicles is to catch aggressive drivers in certain cars that are weaving in and out, passing. It's more of a safety thing than anything else.
Yeah, well, you know, the CHP, they get thousands of phone calls a day.
I'm surprised Scott
on
Reif's not on the call
So,
here. So
again,
they're probably
it
between
leads me to
shifts.
believe that they're
Scott
gonna
Reif
try
does
to
the
do
morning for
anything they
ABC.
can to
Chris
keep
Christie
safe.
does prime
I,
time and
drive
rush
quite a
hour.
bit, and I have
And
been
then
seeing
the
those
afternoon is
Durangos,
unoccupied,
and
but they can
they
still get the
really
choppers in
are
the air,
very,
but then they go to the
low
studio and they
profile.
call in,
don't
you know, different
realize
support.
It's a law enforcement vehicle until you really look at it and you go, oh, that's one of those new CHP.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they have quite a few that they're sending out on the road. And again, Mark, you were talking about it, Glendale Police. So it is interesting, Bruce. I always find it interesting. You know, some jurisdictions they
What's
don't
for
play
dinner?
well
I
with
had
the
spaghetti with
CHP,
meat sauce
and,
yesterday, so
not
it
our
doesn't
police
qualify.
department. They
But
don't
it's
have always the
within
best relationship.
it's
But
within
through the years,
12.
it does seem like
No,
everyone
20. It's
has
within
been starting
24
to
hours of
fall
my
on the
last
same page
spaghetti
where
with meat
they're
sauce. So I
better
guess
as a
maybe it
team.
qualifies,
Would you
but
agree?
tonight will be
I think
fajitas.
we'll call it the cohesiveness of the unit, of the agency, has gotten much better. They all have mutual aid where they help each other out. And at the end of the day, the job is for the safety of the public, to reduce crime, to reduce these type of incidents. So, yeah, they are playing much better in the sandbox.
Yeah.
Right now on the 134, we talked about his options a while ago. He just passed through the Eagle Rock area. There's been no
Jeez,
exit
Eagle
here, kind
Rock.
of between Figueroa and Harvey. There's not really any options to
We're
get
getting
off the
around
freeway.
there.
So,
GTA
right now,
5
on
metro
134
area
westbound,
here.
I believe right there to the right would have been an option to take the 2 freeway.
Yeah, I haven't seen a
on the right.
speedometer
He's staying here on the
graphic yet.
134. This is going to take him right into the heart of Glendale. New information just coming in that the Glendale PD chopper now asking CHP to take over the pursuit. We can tell you may be able to tell there are no plates on the motorcycle. And an update here for perhaps why they're following this guy. Initial information
that an undercover
was
unit?
Potentially that it was
Oh.
stolen.
This is
Wait.
one of those
Oh, look at that.
Oh, right there, you're right.
Look at the lights on the back of that vehicle. It's red and blue. It's flashing. Is that undercover?
Speed and the actions of this motorcyclist.
Look at the lights on the back of that thing.
That officer, the unmarked black SUV right there to the left of this
Unmarked vehicle.
motorcyclist.
But it's not undercover because it has
It
lights.
seems rare when they get in front of the motorcyclist.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's definitely attached here. Look at this. I sound like Reggie Miller. Look at this.
But typically, it's not a maneuver that is taught, nor is it a maneuver that officers will do. They're more inclined to stay behind and follow. And like Colleen was saying, this appears that it is one of those unmarked vehicles.
Getting off the freeway here.
CHP one or another agency. We just don't know yet.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Wide turn. What, are they trying to box him in?
Avenue he just got off.
Whoa.
Anyone who drives this
I guess that's
freeway-
that's how you can
It's a
pit
super
maneuver.
tight turn, and I think he was going
That
just
was a
bit too
wide
fast
turn.
that
Yeah, he was
realized.
hot on the
For
brakes.
that
Wrong
extra
side of the
almost
road.
lost it. Back on. It looks
Oh,
like
we're
the
turning
was
up now.
there for a moment,
Yeah.
and he is moving again.
By the way, those undercover cop cars or cruisers, they've gotten much more undercover, because you used to see those Crown Vics and they stuck out like a sore thumb. They might not have the black and white, but now I think that.
Hey, quick
those are
advisory for
gotten
those of you watching. I know this
because
is getting
the
intense, but
motorcyclists
we did
didn't
add new
realize it was a
merchandise to the
cruiser.
store,
But
birdsintheair.com.
again, now that
3
cruiser
new
is
shirts
behind
in
them,
there.
that Mark
The
one, and
CVC,
it
the
does
Asphalt
up the
Angel,
ante
and
when
all of
you
the
start
helicopter
seeing,
pilots' names on a shirt if you have
you know,
any
how
interest.
close a contact they came. Now, Bruce, I'm not sure if you can
Sorry,
see
I
this
forgot
in
to
real
bring that
time,
up.
but
Just got it in the store
this
as of
pursuit
today.
has now taken on a
Sorry
new,
it took so
a
long.
new urgent feeling.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're back on.
Anyways,
the
we
city
are
streets,
high rates of
and
speed.
just picked up, and the
Might have to
vehicles
get a
that are
copy
chasing
shirt.
them now,
Copy.
are
See if
staying on
Eliana
the
once
street and
allows
not
me to.
closing the distance. So they may know something more about this suspect more than just a possible.
That exit was too
Yeah,
easy.
and again, right there on the curb
Oh,
by the
okay.
side,
That's how you go
right
onto the
on
curb with this
curb,
two-wheel Dodge Charger.
Jackson
That's how you
Johnson,
almost run over a telephone
in
pole in this
Glendale.
two-wheel
So
Dodge
obviously
Charger.
on surface,
That's got to be
it's a
45
video
miles an hour
that
in
we
this
have.
two-wheel Dodge
This is
Charger.
actually from a neighbor of mine who took
What?
this video earlier.
Nightcrawler footage.
Yes,
Neighbor.
this pursuit has gone by my house, and that's when the motorcyclist
Wow.
was zipping right by.
Look at this,
on
people walking out their
surface
front
streets.
door and getting footage of
At
it.
least in that shot, you saw police officers
Only in
not
Los Angeles.
immediately
Only
tow,
in
but they
Los
have since
Angeles.
Re-engaged a lot closer.
Fan
Yeah,
cam.
and it is so nerve-wracking.
He doxed
Again, we're
himself.
watching
He
this
just did
pursuit.
dox
I'm
himself.
very nervous for this
6
pursuit
feet.
suspect, really,
He better
because
he better
they're taking
be
such extreme risks. But
down the
that-
line
it
with his
shows you, Mark,
coverage, now
everyone
that everyone
hears the
knows where he
police
lives.
choppers overhead. Everyone hears the lights and sirens.
The
and
cinematic
sees-
view from GTA.
So as people start looking at this, be aware.
Oh
you know,
man, seniors
ooh,
right there in the
right
middle
there.
of the street.
People in their walkers
That
going
killing
across the
regarding
street.
seniors
Thankfully, he made a
crossing
left-hand
the
turn.
pedestrians.
There's a taxi that
This
we're
is a
just flying
motorcyclist
past.
cruise.
Look at these
Clearly,
rates
it's
of
not a big,
speed.
Heavy utility vehicle. We've seen pursuits with vehicles like that that could do a lot of damage. This being obviously a smaller vehicle on the road. How do you weigh that as far as the fact that it is a weapon out there, but the risk involved when you have a motorcyclist versus a car?
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at, instead of a couple of 1,000 pounds, you're looking at a couple 100 pounds for the motorcycle. However, it is still basically a missile. One that's driving at a high rate of speed.
We're live, my
that
friend,
is
we're
moving
live.
in and out, and so
Read
that
the
may
title of
cause
the stream.
additional
We're a couple
issues
minutes
with
behind on
pedestrians
delay.
Crossing. Yes, and also they're a little more stealthy. They're not going to hear it or see it come up upon them.
Sure.
Yeah, and they come up
Whoa.
so fast. But
Oh,
look,
shit, that unmarked vehicle.
Boy, that
That
undercover-
unmarked officer flying up the practically the wrong side of the
Don't
road.
want to lose them, but might get pinned right
Oh,
here.
but
That's
yeah, you're in a
situation where the
cage. That's the
motorcyclist
difference.
was able to evade
Traffic.
that or lane splitting between those vehicles that at the red light. Still here in the Glendale area on the wrong side of the road. Again,
Very wrong
another
side of the road.
intersection. I got to assume this is near, not far from the Glendale Galleria and the Americana. Not positive. Okay, they did just
yeah.
pass.
Yeah, they did just pass it. But again, you know, this is obviously near the ABC7 studios. It is just so highly dangerous. And again, we know that law enforcement, they naturally don't want to give up. But Bruce, at what point do you just say, you know, we're gonna,
Risk versus reward.
yeah, we're gonna
Just
give up
let
on
it go?
this because
Well, you know the
the
risks on
suspect,
that.
I mean, it just
You'll
doesn't
never
look
get
good
him.
for the suspect when they're driving this fast on these streets.
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, basically what you
I mean,
have
these
is-
suspects are so sharp lately. We saw the one before continued to use restricted airspace as well as he used LAX, the Dodger game, and downtown to shield the helicopters from being able to track him. Probably ended up getting away.
And a $10,000 fine. Now,
This one here, if you separate enough, that's really close, wrong side of the road. If you separate enough and they're in tracking mode, you can just go into a parking deck, avoid the media helicopters, and just blend in.
because they're not
Blend in. How many? It feels like more and more. The average used to be 18% of chases get away, but it feels like that number is
Like you
ascending.
just said, Mark, the risk
by the
versus
day.
reward just for the suspect. Again, it's I don't know exactly what led up to this person, if they are in fact driving a stolen motorcycle. We don't exactly know.
That was
Oh,
initial
look at the officer,
information, but
unmarked
the
officer,
latest information
wrong
was
side of the road,
speed,
barreling through the intersection,
yeah,
car coming.
the
Oh my
condition of
God,
the
he's so
motorcycle.
lucky he
Bruce was
slowed
speaking
down.
to the point of, a couple hundred pounds, which
Potential
is
T-bone
perhaps,
there if he stayed engaged.
less
This is so
dangerous to the
dangerous
public.
for someone
Still,
driving a
though,
vehicle,
it's
like
like a
an
missing
actual
out there.
car and not a
But we have
motorcycle.
seen these pursuits
So
where
much more
looks like this
optionality with this
end
two-wheel
really
Dodge Charger.
badly for the rider specifically.
Yeah.
It really increases the danger for them. If, God forbid, there is any collision, they lose control, this can end very badly for this motorcycist. So officers.
Yeah, what's gonna happen when a
pursuit
Waymo gets in
want
a
to
police
bring this
chase?
to a successful termination.
You can't be like
Yeah,
evading police. The
and
Waymo,
Tony was right on this.
the Waymo was doing it on its own.
Back, it was one of those brand new CHP undercover vehicles, and I call them undercover only because they don't have a light bar on top, but they do have a light package system throughout the body of the vehicle. And that's more inherently dangerous on a city street too, because people look and they don't see the familiar black and white vehicle.
Sure. And Bruce, can I ask you this question? The options, people may be watching here as we're dipping in to this breaking coverage and wondering, okay, bring this to an end, just stop the guy. Obviously more difficult when you have a motorcyclist. They can't do a pit maneuver. You mentioned not really an option to do spike strips, is that correct? Do they have any options aside from simply following the guy?
They don't. The options are pretty minimal at this point. Could you use a spike strip? Yeah, you could. However, the motorcycle is so agile getting around that, it's difficult to deploy. But in this case, all you really can do is just kind of sit back and watch and wait and hopefully not spur the driver, in this case the suspect, to drive any more erratic and unsafe than they are.
I got to assume it's totally out of policy. Maybe this is a silly question. Totally out of policy too, if given the opportunity to, similar to a pit maneuver, go up and ram the guy, bump him over.
What?
I've seen that.
We've seen that once.
If one is not allowed to, I'm sure.
We've seen it once, and the guy was practically parked.
Especially if you're sitting in traffic and this is going by.
Remember when they boxed him in?
Just move them. Well, unfortunately, we can't do that as much as we'd like.
Yeah.
I like to.
Yeah.
I like that none of the other drivers on the road are getting involved, because sometimes we see that happen.
Well, a situation like this, likely these drivers don't even have an idea. He's coming up so quick. You could see the rate of speed, the difference that he's zooming by these cars. If you're driving, you got the radio on, you're dealing with other stuff. You don't even see this
Pit
motorcyclist
maneuver,
coming,
a
and then
two-wheel
after the
Charger,
fact realize,
aggressive.
that was a pursuit
That would
just
be
took off.
instant
I
death.
know, I would love it if they would just almost.
They're trying to
like
kill him,
track
yeah,
him in
that'd be a
weird
great way to
because
end the chase.
The responding car that's right behind, and the sort of area, they keep narrowing the distance between, so the driver of that undercover unmarked vehicle, they are doing an incredible job of staying with this motorcycle rider, weaving in and out of traffic. They've been going on the other side of traffic too, so there's been a lot of risks being taken to pull over this motorcycle rider, and at some point the community is going to be sort of in jeopardy as this driver just continues to take such extreme risks.
Yeah, now into the Cypress Park area on San Fernando Road. So he's really covering some distance now. He's now out of Glendale. Of course, he's gone through La Cañada, La Crescenta, Pasadena, Eagle Rock. Kind of certainly.
There's a Dodge
some
Charger.
miles in, and now Cypress Park.
Beautiful
getting
Dodge
closer,
Charger. It was a black one.
essentially, I think to the 5 freeway down here, as he really.
Boy, there's a good
some distance
suggestion.
in these officers,
Why not just
in
drop a
pursuit.
net from the police
Bruce,
chopper?
everything's going.
That would be
I'm sorry,
the most
I'm sorry,
accurate
if
drop
there's something
ever.
you can pull out, I think CHP may have canceled their pursuit, because they were not in the frame of the picture.
Oh, CHP
So then
canceled,
they just
okay.
realized, you know what, this isn't worth it.
How long do I have
We're
until my
canceling
radio
it.
show?
We'll just
I'm
keep
done for the
helicopter
day
over
until
him and try to get
I'm
him.
doing my
sorry,
pregame
Tony.
show on
You
Twitter.
called it, though.
It's
a couple
actually
hours,
a great
not
point,
until the
Bruce.
post-game show.
We're getting information simultaneously, and now hearing that may in fact be the case. But LAPD now add another agency to the mix. The LAPD chopper is now taking over overhead. So we've had Pasadena involved, Glendale, CHP. Now the LAPD is involved in this pursuit that is across multiple jurisdictions, and this guy just not wanting to stop.
No.
Yeah, I mean, this suspect has a total wanton disregard for just pulling over and just giving up. You know, it could be maybe in his criminal background that if he were to go to jail. it would
How
maybe
often
become
do I
an
get
accident.
recognized in public?
Speaking of
Depends where I am.
enhancements, you know, a few years ago, they put
At an NBA game?
enhancement on felony pursuits, where it was a mandatory 2-year sentence.
At the bar?
I don't know if that's still in
depends on the
effect or not,
audience.
but the drivers are at least looking at that.
Interesting. That's very good to know. You always wonder, you know, what's their motivation to stop or not stop, and whether or not they're aware of those repercussions and penalties for sure. This guy at times weaving in and out of the wrong direction of travel.
Would
making
it
the
be
right
attempted
turn north
murder if the
Broadway.
cops got in front and
Avenue
let loose
19,
10,000
making
marbles?
Again, blowing through one intersection after another. As we've
I think you
been
need
here
more
now
marbles.
for just about
Those
30
tires are
minutes, again,
huge
breaking in
on
with
this two-wheel Charger.
pursuit coverage. I think the only time he's really come to a near stop was at an intersection where the cars were blocking. He had to lane
How
split,
often are
kinda
they
creep
women?
along. Besides
Less than
that,
guys,
he's blown through
unfortunately.
every single stop sign, every single intersection that he's come to, Colleen.
Yeah, he has, and again, I think.
I wish it was
at
the
that
opposite.
moment where he did
I need
do
to
a
work on
stop
my,
at that
musicianship.
intersection. It was when that,
Need to learn how to play the guitar and I'll get a lot more
police
women.
or CHP vehicle, it's in disguise almost, because so many people drive these large, dark SUVs, so I'm thinking at some point, like I said, I've seen them on the streets, and you do not notice that you think, is that a, you know, personal car driver that's, you know, chauffeuring someone, or, but again, this person is taking extreme risks. I had not seen that unmarked, large SUV following, and now we know that the LAPD airship is now, taking over lead to follow this motorcycle tracking mode, trying to keep the community safe. Again,
Tracking
these
mode
motorcyclists
means
must know
they can
are
get
being
away.
tracked because they are not.
Tracking mode
You
means
think
we can
that
ditch
once
the
you think,
vehicle,
okay, law enforcement's
start walking,
decided
go
to
into
give
a
up
house,
risk,
go into a
don't they
parking
don't-
deck,
it's sort of
go into
reasonable
traffic,
to
go
believe
into
that the
somewhere
driver
public,
would
and
sort
you'll
of
never see him.
stop
It takes
making,
so
risky
long
moves.
to, once you realize
Well,
that
you
he's
would
dumped the
think
vehicle, they get a
that
10-minute
as long
head
as
start.
someone's Not behind them, not hearing the lights, the siren, because you're not really gonna
Yeah, we're
hear
in
the
Chinatown,
siren
so we should be
because
near
you
Dodger
travel
Stadium. Thankfully, there's no
backwards,
game
not
going on.
forward.
Otherwise, we would run into another.
Travels
You go into a
backwards, not
Denny's.
forwards. So you're gonna see the light, but in this case.
Those Dodger
that's not
flight
the issue.
restrictions are driving me
This
mad
guy or
lately.
this suspect is just driving
Anytime there's a
like
Dodger
bat
home
out of
game,
hell,
there's
for
a
lack of better
giant
word.
Yeah, we want to update our viewers
TFR.
right now. North Alameda. This has been now in the downtown area. If Air 7 can pull out just a bit to give us that perspective.
Oh, no.
That this is.
Oh,
in
no, there's downtown.
area, and that's the 101 right there.
Not
I
downtown.
believe that's the same freeway where we had some police.
So
activity
easy to
earlier.
just go into a parking
So
garage.
now there's multiple things going on.
Don't make a left. Don't
in
make a
this
left.
Specific area of
Don't make a
downtown,
left,
just to
you
the
son of a
left.
bit.
He's gonna be
What did I
going
just
towards,
say?
locations like City Hall
That's
and
the
Department of
101,
Justice.
and now we're headed to the heart of
Right into the
downtown.
heart of downtown
This is going to
Los
be
Angeles.
over.
As we watch that, we can
This
also
is
give
a
you some
death
idea
sentence
with
for
the
Chase. This is where
crosswalk
chases go to
across the
die.
road. Here's some
It's
video
the
if you're
opposite of
tuning in
Downey.
Of this pursuit on the right side of your screen. Gonna kind of run through.
This
what
is where
we've
chases
seen
go
so
to
far
die,
in
people. We're
Pasadena.
going to potentially lose it, especially without the ground units attached. Ground units are in tracking mode. This chase is in trouble.
Blowing through intersections, blowing through crosswalks. So we've been on this for the better part of 30 minutes. So the video on the right is what we.
There's gonna be
so
pursuit
far.
trees,
The
pursuit
video on the left
towers.
Is live, and Colleen and Bruce Thomas on the phone with us. At least we can be thankful that we've seen no collisions up to this point.
We haven't, and we've only seen for one moment, as you're looking on the right side, you're watching video from this pursuit. On the left side, you're looking at live images, but we've only seen one true moment where this pursuit suspect got a little squirrely on the bike. They are handling this bike with expertise. It looks like Bruce Thomas, our law enforcement expert, always joining us on these pursuits. We really, your advice and your information invaluable. But again, you don't have a crystal ball. We don't know when this pursuit suspect's going to
Did he just go back across the 101?
Staying very close to Los Angeles, and
I think he
keep
went
going
back
through
across.
these
Okay.
very
Little bit better for
congested
us.
areas. They're not getting on the freeway, which a lot of times we see.
Beer
the pursuit
drinker
suspects
guy,
just
what's
go.
up?
They go into Ventura County.
Thanks
or
for
they-
subscribing
they go
to the
south.
channel.
But this person is staying here, and you look at going in through these intersections in downtown. Bruce, what are you thinking about? What do you think that law enforcement is trying to figure out now?
Well, they're trying to figure out what kind of geographic area this suspect wants to be in. He's gone from the north part of LA County now to the downtown of Los Angeles. There are high-rise buildings. Maybe he's thinking he can pull into a garage. We've seen that before, and just ditch the bike and get away. But in this case, there doesn't seem to be a pattern yet, and that's one of the problems for law enforcement.
Yeah, certainly no way for him to hear us and wouldn't want to give him, ideas of how to get away. But you are absolutely right that we've seen it before. If these pursuit suspects ever did want to get away, typically going into a parking garage, parking structure, that is a good way for them to evade officers. And he has plenty of them right now here in the downtown Los Angeles area. Right now, westbound on Cesar Chavez, kind of going in loops right now in the downtown Los Angeles area, kind of moving into the Chinatown area, really putting a lot of people at risk and keeping law enforcement, honestly, on their toes, as we now have multiple agencies involved. The wrong side of the road, here he goes. Onto the sidewalk.
Oh, no.
And perhaps, as we were just saying,
Parking
that could
deck.
be into a parking structure.
Mark, great job giving him an
Is-
idea to get in
yeah.
there. No, I'm just kidding. I know.
Unbelievable.
Is that Union Station? Is that part of Union Station?
Unbelievable.
It's very hard to tell.
Might just be in a
It's not Union Station. There's a pool there.
I think that's one of those.
Is there a pool at Union's? Who is this
Da
guy?
Vinci apartment complexes. We're getting confirmation. So not far from there. It's just up the road. The Da Vinci apartment complex. So be
There's a
advised,
pool
if you're
at
in this
Union
building, you're
Station,
watching
what
right
that
now,
thing
a lot
would
of
look
units.
like.
Lock your doors. This motorcyclist just went into an underground parking area of the Da Vinci.
Game
apartment
over.
complex right here in
This is
downtown
what
Los
happens when you
Angeles,
go into tracking
bordering
mode.
the 110 freeway.
So you see it, if you commute on the 110, you see the Da Vinci Apartments right there. They're a fairly new development, and I'm sure a lot of areas where this person can just offload that bike
Yeah.
and find a hiding spot.
Our viewers will remember back in 2014, this was part of the complex.
viewers
that
will
went up in flames during construction.
Our viewers
Just
will
off the
remember
110
from
freeway. They have
2014?
since, of course,
That's
rebuilt
11 years
very
ago.
large development, and the
Who's this
motorcyclist
guy?
now choosing that as his getaway location. Going to be real interesting, Bruce, to see if officers decide to do any lockdown perimeter, secure this area. That's got to be a bit daunting. How do you even begin?
Yeah, good luck.
When you have so many entrances, so many exits for this guy to hide.
That
Good
is
luck.
the question. You've got multiple
This is a
entrances,
monster
multiple
complex.
exits.
Yeah, there's
You're
cops
looking
on
at
the
a
street.
manpower
There's a Waymo
pool
right there.
just
Good.
to lock
This
down
one's
the
over.
complex. That's going to be huge.
Yeah.
And-
They have no clue
and
where that guy
we'll
just
go
went.
with the risk reward. Is it worth it in this case? And I'm going to say as a law commander, you know what? Bad guys 1, police 0.
Bad guys
Yeah,
won,
I'm
police
curious about
0.
how a lot of people are just
That seems to
sitting
be the
there
case more
minding their
often
own
here.
business, having a lunch break. So many
You
people
can
work from home these
absolutely
days.
get away
And
from the
just
cops from what we've
just
seen
to
these past
have all
couple
this
of months in
police
chases.
activity
There's so many
surrounding their
optimal strategies
environment
to getting
and
away.
not having a clue of what's going on.
So
Over
many.
here to the right, not sure
Bad
if
guys
there's a
1,
camera there
cops
so we can see
0.
that. There were some officers that were stopped right there. Zoom in.
Yeah, if you were in
There's
ads,
an officer up
he's in a
there on the
parking
curb,
garage
and
as we
one that just
anticipated
pulled
and
back.
expected,
So they
and
were
he's
focused
just
on that
gone. And it's a
entrance
monster
of the
parking
complex. I wasn't
garage
sure if
too.
That was the same entrance that he went into. Perhaps it was. Of course, we've been spinning around just a bit. But clearly officers are there. They're well aware that this is the location that the guy was last seen, and probably now weighing their options, as Bruce spoke to, as to did the bad guy win at this juncture? Do they remain on scene, or do they just call it quits and pull out?
Well, and also, Bruce, I'm thinking, we know that, like we were just talking about, this is an area that we saw a massive fire years ago, and so we know they have cameras located throughout. I'm wondering if law enforcement is trying to get a hold of the security footage right now to say, we need to see, because they're obviously going to have a
Yeah,
lot of
you can
live
do that.
cameras
That's gonna take
in
an
all the
hour.
garages
He's
just
gone.
for safety of their tenants as well as security. So I'm wondering exactly, as you know, Bruce, all police work has gotten, it's never easy, but you're getting extra tools by having those cameras.
Yeah, and I happen to know in this complex, they do have a 24-hour live monitoring station, meaning they have security that doesn't monitor the cameras. So they might be contacting that security officer or that security office to see if they can see exactly which way the guy went in and where the guy went once he pulled into the garage.
Sure.
But then, having surveillance cameras It's a great investigatory tool.
Okay, we do have an update
Poor
here. We
police
already know that
officers
LAPD
being
is
speaking
now
into a
setting
ring
up
camera trying to be let in.
A few units have arrived. Clearly, you can
Good
see
try,
one
good
right
luck.
there. So they are in the early stages here of setting up a perimeter. The
Oh no,
LAPD
not the
is.
perimeter.
That is a situation, Bruce, where it just takes more manpower. So they got to get these units in. They're going to make that investment. Here's the one thing: we were talking to the point that, hey, this guy could get away, but although there's a lot of property to cover, there are a lot of hiding spaces. He is otherwise enclosed into this property, so he's got to be in there somewhere. So maybe time is on their side if they want to get him.
Yeah, I mean, you know, they'll set up a perimeter, they'll contain it, they'll eventually
All right.
start a grid search.
I've had
of the
enough.
subgarage.
Too easy.
You know, the motorcyclist, once he ditches the helmet, do they have it?
Too easy. T-O easy, Chase. Too easy. Bad guys 1, cops 0. That's a big ass complex, which they will likely never find this guy inside. All right, people. You know the drill by now. At Skywob Alert is going to be your method of notification for the next 3 hours. Is I cannot send you Twitch notifications within 4 hours of each other. So follow the account here if you haven't already. If you want to be notified of future chases, that's the best way to do it. But also follow at Skywob Alerts on Twitter as your failsafe. Too easy, sure. Maybe, perhaps. We'll see if there's any longevity to that one. But until next time, I'm out of here. And I'll see you guys on the timeline. Appreciate y'all hanging out. Deuces.